On this episode of AV Week, a ginormous AV install in Las Vegas, taking a look at how to handle counterfeits and where in the world is the AV over IP standard. All that and more. Next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 528, recorded Friday, October 1st, 2021. Customers first.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Atlas IED, innovative audio solutions for every business environment.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us to discuss the news and information we have gathered this week, a couple of very special guests. I am very, very pleased. First, let's go farthest away from me, I guess. Ifat Chaudhry from Involve over in the UK. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I actually got to hang out with a cohort of yours this week at the PSNI webinar summit yesterday, actually. We're recording this on Friday, so I got to hang out with Jason yesterday during that, so that was awesome.
That was a good session, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, everybody was good, right? Except me. Mr. Netto, who saves my butt more times than I care to admit. So, Mr. Netto from Starin, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay, Tim. Thanks for having me here, saving your butt one more time.
See, you
call, I answer. I saw the bat signal. It went up.
All the way from New Jersey. And technically, Anthony is in Texas, so literally he's like due south of me. Anthony Cuellar from Diversified, a young man that I got to know over the last couple of months. Very, very nice to meet you and having him on for the first time. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's kick this off. First story comes to us from our friends over at AV Network and SCN. Harman is pursuing legal action against counterfeiters. Harman, wholly owned subsidiary of Samsung, is taking legal action against manufacturers and distributors involved in the production and sale of counterfeit JBL products in India. Also looking at Harman Kardon, Infinity, Lexicon, and Revel, among others. Chris, I'm going to start with you. Chris, Starin's a distributor. You guys handle a lot of these products. We've talked about counterfeit products before. When you look at this, how big of a deal is counterfeiting in general when it comes to the AV industry, but also how big of a deal is it going to continue to become as the supply chain issues continue to mount?
I'm glad you asked me that because honestly, to be honest, how is it not affecting the counterfeit market if you can't get plastic to make fake purses, right? I mean, I'm confused. No, but there's, it's funny. This story pops up around the same time that I was reading another story regarding how the counterfeit market affects other things. And there was an ongoing a little web video series where they were talking about how TSA was nabbing the fake counterfeits coming into the country and the backstories behind it, where it may seem unwilling for people to automatically go out and say, you know what, I'm going to go out and purchase a bogus microphone that, whatever it is, it's got the name on it. I don't see too much of that on the commercial, happening so much on the commercial side, unless it's being done nefariously. The nefarious side is the questionable side, because what some people or some folks think about purchasing, say, a phony purse, who is behind that phony purse, who is fronting that, is where, the government officials are saying. It's like, listen, a lot of times this isn't just somebody in a print shop making a few extra bucks and trying to pass it off. They pass it off as fake. It's actually funding, some really ugly stuff on the back end. Yeah. So, having the fake Rolex and the fake, LV purse and stuff like that, though it may seem funny and, it'll probably fall off your wrist and break apart in 2 seconds. Think about where that is actually happening or coming from and who is actually bankrolling that stuff. If what they say in these videos is true, it's actually going back to some pretty ugly stuff. And they're not afraid to say it on those videos. I might say that they are... they went down into the black market and saying who was funding that sort of stuff. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah. From a commercial AV side, I'm sorry, but AV pros know the difference. These knockoffs are not just, they're bad knockoffs. If you're gonna see, you're gonna feel it, you're gonna know it. The weight of a microphone is definitely different, but I've heard that they've even caught up to that and putting some heavy weights inside, some lead inside a microphone to give you that impression of a microphone. Shure is one of those companies too that have been constantly taken for knockoffs, and they make a great product. And it is unfair to them the same way it is to JBL to be in that position. But when you have a name, when you have a brand, and when you're sought after, and currently under the situation that it is right now, it's very easy to pass off if you're not paying attention. You're just looking for product. And if somebody says, hey, I can get you 500 speakers, some people really need to think about where can you get 500 speakers under the current situation and where that is actually coming from. So I know it's a long answer, Tim, but I'm sorry, you sparked the thought, and that's what happens. I come in here and I just...
Yeah, I'll jump in here too. I think that the Pro AV market is somewhat insulated from a lot of that, in the sense that we do know our product so well. It's not a retail, it's not consumer, and frankly, on the technology solution provider side, what Diversified is, we have the benefit of having companies like Stair and Midwich that is receiving that product, or in our case, we purchase a lot of that supply directly from the manufacturer, Harman or JBL or any of their brands. So again, we have a sense of understanding that it's the real product. We know the real product, and it's not as serious a concern in terms of the counterfeit. What is maybe more of a concern, and I think hits all of us, is just fraud in general. It's just all the phishing scams. It's all of the fake invoices that come to you, and everything that you have to really, really be careful of, that we've had to put strong measures in place around cybersecurity, around making sure that we're vetting customers, around all the things that you have to do to run a profitable business. So that's more of a concern, at least that I see on the Pro AV side, than maybe counterfeit product that we're trying to resell.
I agree. I think Pro AV are pretty safe. I think the issue here is retail. Certainly JBL as a product, most kids, my son just went off to uni last week and he has a JBL speaker in his digs. So I would be concerned in terms of that being, in terms of the charging of it, whether it's actually safely produced. I don't want that thing catching fire.
Right.
So in the retail market, my concern is, I know where that came from because I purchased it from a legitimate outlet. However, you don't know. Young people, less money, they see something on a market stall, they want to buy it. They're like, well, why am I going to pay this much when I can get it for, I can get 2 for £10 or whatever it is.
Sure.
That's where we're going to see the issues, is when something goes horribly wrong because the production is not to the standard. So it's the safety standards, the electrical standards that I think would be of greater concern. Probably not so much for us in the Pro AV side. We're not going to see it. I hope it won't get in.
Anthony brought up a very interesting point, and that's not something that I've seen written about. I don't think that we've ever talked about it here, and that is not just the cybersecurity, but the fake invoices, right, that are continuing to look more and more real, and doing it through third parties and fourth parties, also credit card theft and counterfeits of those, where I could, if anybody has a retail site or a web portal, use somebody's credit card nefariously, and then have this stuff shipped, someplace else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Next.
I'll just add,
Go on.
although my son has a JBL speaker, other brands are definitely available. Stop pushing JBL. I love my friends at Harman. I love Jason Lapthorne. But yes, there are other brands available before I get into trouble.
Spoken like a true politician there, Afat. I love that. Thanks so much for watching this first segment of AV Week. To check out the rest of the episode for free, click on the link below or go by the website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.